Hi, I'm Elsa and I am a lefty crocheter. In today's video, I have a roundup of 10 different patterns. 5 are knit, 5 are crochet. All of these patterns are either tees or tank tops meant to be worn in the summer months, and all of them came up as I was looking for a pattern to use with this yarn. So let's walk through these patterns together. Starting with the knits, going in no particular order, we have number 1, the Summer Top Margarita by Veronica Stonkus. This is a free pattern that's available on Ravelry. It does call for an Aran weight yarn, and this is a number 3 light, and Aran is a number 4. It's on the heavier side of number 4, so wouldn't work great with that specific yarn, but I really like the look of this pattern. It looks super comfy. I like the way it fits. It's not a super crop top, and it doesn't have a super low neck. And I like that it says that it will only need 220 to 500 yards worth of yarn, which that's lovely. It is heavier yarn than what I have, but still nice. The cons are, I'm not sure about the curling on the collar. It doesn't have a ribbing to make it not curl, which I kind of like the way it looks. The more that I look at it, the more I like the way it looks. When I first saw it, I said, no, I don't like that. But the more that I look at it, again, not fully sure how much of a con that is. The big con that will keep coming up over and over in this part of the list is it's a knit pattern, and I'm not very good at knitting. So not super high on my list for a number of reasons. Wrong weight, wrong fiber crafting style, and that's about it. So, but it looks super cute, and I am tempted, maybe down the line when I'm better at knitting. Number 2, we have the Sabai top by Suzanne Mueller. This one is a paid top. The pattern is available on Ravelry. It calls for a DK weight, which I believe is number 3. I get the words for the weights and the numbers all mixed up, but I believe the DK is number 3 light. I'll put it here if I'm wrong. It calls for 500 to 1,000 yards depending on the size that you are making. It is also not super cropped, and it has the ribbing around the neckline that the other one did not, so I like that. However, and this may feel a little bit nitpicky, the boat neck, I don't know. So it's not super low, but the boat neck is pretty wide, and I don't know how I feel about having that much of my shoulders out in the air. I don't know. But I think that it looks really, really cute. So maybe when I'm better at knitting, might take a gander at that one. Number 3, we have the Tip Top Tank by Emily Baudouin. This is another free pattern. It calls for sport weight yarn, which I believe is number 2, maybe number 3 as well. And it calls for 400 to 900 yards. There are a lot of mods available for this one. They have a pattern for it that it's not connected at the top. It's like ties, which I think is super cute. I would never wear. I would hate it. It would drive me crazy having that up by my neck, but super cute. They also have patterns for different weights of yarn. So that's where this was a really good option for me, considering with this yarn that I have, I could know that I could find one of these patterns with the different weights. However, one of the big cons that I have is that the V-neck is in the front and the back, and I get twitchy when my back is too open, and I think that something might touch me. So I'm not sure that I would like that. If it had a regular back and the V-neck in front, this one would be great because you can easily modify it to be longer, and it looks super comfy, and again, not very hard to make, so a good option. Number 4 is the Sayer Tank by Julie Hoover, and this one is paid. It is available on Ravelry. It calls for lace weight yarn that you're using 2 strands held together. So it calls for a lot of yarn. I really like how the design has the V-neck and then the scoop neck, and it says in the pattern that you could wear it either way forwards. So you could have the V-neck in the front or the V in the back, which I think that's really neat. However, I'm not sure how actually reversible it would be for those of us who are larger in the chest area. I think that patterns that assume that it will fit the same front and back assume that you maybe don't have very much of a chest. So that gives me pause with this one in general. I like the idea, I like the concept. I also like the idea of making it using 2 strands of lace yarn held together. I think that that could give a lot of options for just variety with color even. Like, that's really cool. However, the fact that they say that it is reversible does make me wonder how much it will fit, and then retroactively made me think about all of the ones that I'd looked at previously. Are they different front and back? Because I do think it matters. So, not sure. This one was never really an option because I'm not using the lace weight yarn, especially not in knitting, but interesting discussion piece, right? And then number 5, rounding up our list, Perfect Summer Raglan. This is a pattern by Sealed with a Kiss. It is a paid pattern, but it is available in several different yarn weights, which is very appealing to me. And it is by Sealed with a Kiss, which is a local yarn store that is about 30 minutes away from me, which is amazing. And it's their April knit along. I know, it's basically the end of April, so I wouldn't necessarily be participating in the knit along part of the knit along, but I really like that community aspect of it, so that's very intriguing to me. It is a very basic style tee. It is a raglan. It is knit. It is intimidating. It is intriguing. It would use a lot of yarn for my size, and it looks like it has a lot of coverage. Like it just kind of looks like a heavier tee, if that makes sense. And so I worry about the yarn just being too heavy, and then I would get too hot, and so then I wouldn't wear it. That's a fear that I have with this one, but there are a lot of pros, and so intriguing. Now let's move on to the crochet tops. Because I am much more comfortable with crochet than I am with knit, all of these are strong contenders for my top that I want to wear at Acadia. So, again, in no particular order, we have the Viscountess V-neck summer top from MJ's Off the Hook Designs. This is a free pattern that I have already done, as you can see. I did need to modify, it's a top-down raglan design. I had to modify the raglan in order to fit me. I've learned a little bit from that process about what measurements I need and how to make those changes, should they be needed. It did fit me when I did this, so that's appealing. There is a paid option for a PDF, but it is on a blog for free, and that is what I did when I did it before. But if you don't like wading through ads and stuff like that, there is a paid option. I am worried for several reasons. I do know that I can make it work to fit me. However, it fit me and then it stretched. Here she is. When I had made it and finished it, she fit me. I wore it once and it was perfect. And then it stretched. And I worry that if I make it again, it will stretch again, but I don't know if that was just this yarn, if I knit it too loosely, if if I crocheted it too loosely, if my tension was wrong. Was it the pattern? Will it always go big like that? So should I make it smaller initially? These are the questions that I have and the concerns that I have, because I know, yes, it worked for like a second, and now I'm gonna have to take this apart and do something else with it because I cannot wear it. It is too big. Do I want to try that pattern out again on this yarn? Sorry. On this yarn? It's a very similar weight yarn, so it's an option. Number 2, here we have the Cosmos blouse. It is a free pattern. It calls for a light fingering weight, so that would be more of a super fine weight yarn. And it calls for a lot of that yarn. It looks light and airy, and so very wearable for me during the summer and the warmer months, right? But it needs a lot of yarn. I have ordered more of this yarn, but this yarn is also heavier than what it calls for, so it wouldn't need quite as much. So I think that this colorway could look really good in that pattern. So it's a definite option. And it's a free pattern, which is always appealing to try things out. If I try it out and I hate it, at least I didn't pay money for a pattern that I hated, right? Number 3, we have the Swift top. It is a paid pattern. It calls for a DK weight yarn, and it requires 470 to 1,000 yards of yarn, depending on your size. So it's not as much of a yarn eater as some of these other patterns that we're looking at, and it looks kind of fancy, so I could wear it and like feel like I'm a little bit dressed up, right? I am a little bit concerned about this piece and the bust sizing. I am generally concerned about bust sizing in pieces, but the 2 crochet pieces that we've looked at really haven't had much shaping through the bust, so it's not like super important. This one, if the pattern is not actually designed to fit a larger chest, it might not work for me. And so that is a concern that I have with this potential pattern, which is also paid, and that would be very disappointing if I paid and then found out that it wouldn't fit me. Number 4, we have the Road Trip Tank by K Crochets. It is another paid pattern. It calls for a sport weight yarn, which is a little bit lighter than what I have here for this, but it might work out. It looks super basic. It looks like a staple wardrobe piece that I want to have and I would wear a lot. But again, I am concerned about the fitting through the bust and potentially it being a lower neckline than I am comfortable with. It's really hard to tell with the pictures that she has on her Ravelry page, because she is flat-chested, really flat-chested, and so I don't like showing a lot of my chest, and so I'm not sure what that would look like on a larger chest, right? And I'm thinking I might prefer slightly thicker straps up the arms, but that should be easy enough to modify. But again, it's a paid pattern, so these are concerns that I have. Lastly, rounding up this list, I kept the weirdest for last. This is the Stripes and Fringe Tank. It is a free pattern. It calls for worsted weight yarn, and it calls for a lot of worsted weight yarn. It looks like they're saying this will take 1,060 yards to 2,120 yards, depending on the size that you're making. That's a lot, and it's a lot of worsted weight, so it would be even more of the weight that I have. But I love these vertical stripes, because most of the patterns have been knit back and forth like this. I love that this one goes up and down, and I think that would look really good with this yarn in particular. However, I would not be doing fringe on the bottom. So my question is, would a different bottom ruin the look of this tank? Could I do something else? Could I just leave it like plain? Do I have to add something else to the bottom? I don't know. It's free, so might take a look at it and see. I definitely am not doing the fringe, but I don't know if doing a different kind of border at the bottom, especially with the vertical striping of the body, if that would make it look weird. So that's a concern that I have with that one. But with that said, this concludes our roundup of the 10 different patterns. It's a mix of free and paid. It's a mix of knit and crochet. There's some more oversized and some more fitted. There's classic and a little bit more out there designs in here. So let me know if you're intrigued by any of these. I am technically still on the hunt for a pattern to use with this yarn. I haven't fully committed to a specific pattern. Like I said, there's pros and cons to all of the ones on here. I think I can rule out some of the ones on this list that I will definitely not be doing, but I don't know. We will see. I would love to hear you guys, your thoughts, because like I said, I'm on the hunt. So let me know what you think and stay crafty, I guess. And I will talk at you in my next video.